There's a peculiar thing about life. It rarely unfolds the way we expect, especially when it comes to human connections. The ones we chase often run, and the ones we ignore can't help but come closer. And then, there are moments when the person you thought you could forget becomes the one you spend your whole life chasing in your mind. Today, we're going to unfold a story, a lesson, a reality too many of us have lived through or witnessed. The man who forgot her is now the one she can't forget. And through the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, we'll uncover why this happens, how to navigate it, and how to rise beyond it with grace, strength, and unshakable presence. So, lean in, because this is about you. In every chapter of our lives, people come and go. Some leave a mark, others leave a scar. And some leave a lesson so profound that it shapes the rest of our days. There was a man, no different than many of us. He loved, he hoped, and perhaps at some point he begged for attention, affection, validation. And in return, he was overlooked. Not because he wasn't worthy, but because, like Marcus Aurelius once noted, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. You see, he imagined her as his salvation, his completeness, his destiny. And she basked in the comfort of his availability. She measured his value not by his essence, but by his willingness to orbit her. And then one day he stopped, not in anger, not in bitterness, but in quiet, stoic acceptance. The moment a man reclaims himself, the world feels it. She felt it. The text slowed. The attention faded. The man she thought would always be there vanished like mist at dawn. And in that void, she found discomfort. This is the paradox of human nature. We don't chase what's abundant. We chase what's rare. We crave what eludes us. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This man reacted by becoming absent. Not to punish her, but to find himself. Days turned to weeks. Weeks to months. She'd scroll through old messages, glance at places they once met, catch herself reminiscing about moments she once dismissed. What changed? He did. He no longer needed her validation to feel worthy. He no longer begged for a seat at a table that had no place set for him. He learned the art of indifference. And this is what turned the tide. Stoicism teaches that freedom is found not in controlling others but in mastering ourselves. When a man walks away from what diminishes him, he creates a silence so profound, it echoes. She thought he'd always be there. That she could return when convenient, when lonely, when other options faded. But when she did, he wasn't. Not because he hated her, but because he loved his peace more. And in this newfound silence, she heard the loudest truth. The man she forgot is now the one she cannot forget. There's a powerful phenomenon in psychology called reactance. When people feel their freedoms are restricted, they desire the forbidden even more. When you no longer grant access to your mind, heart, or time, you become that forbidden fruit. And it isn't about manipulation. It's about reclaiming what you so freely gave away. Seneca once wrote, "If you wish to be loved, love yourself first." He did. And now, every other version of affection feels hollow to her. Why is it that absence can hurt more than presence? Because people don't realize the value of air until they struggle to breathe. When you're constantly available, your presence becomes ordinary. But when you disappear, your absence becomes a presence in itself. And she felt it. In empty conversations. In men who spoke but didn't understand her silence. In fleeting moments that lacked the gravity of what she once took for granted. The man who walks away, not to be chased but to find peace, is the man no one truly forgets. Because he represents what could have been, if she had valued him when it mattered. This isn't about revenge. It's about detachment. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Receive without pride. let go without attachment. He let go. And it was in that release that he found everything she could no longer give him. What can we learn from this? That strength isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention. It simply exists. The man who forgets her not out of spite, but out of clarity is the man who rises. He doesn't chase what runs. He aligns with what stays. And in doing so, he reclaims his essence, his worth, his destiny. She, on the other hand, learns a truth she'll carry in silent regret. That indifference can feel like cruelty when you've grown accustomed to constant affection. So many of us give too much of ourselves to people who only see our worth in absence. We exhaust our minds, hearts, and souls, and when we finally pull away, the world remembers us. Why? Because self-respect is magnetic. When you no longer need anyone's approval, you become undeniably attractive. And those who overlooked you will feel your absence like a ghost, a presence they can never reclaim. This is not just a story of romantic dynamics. It's a philosophy, a way of living. Choose peace over drama. Choose silence over unnecessary explanations. Choose detachment over obsession. As the Stoics taught, control only what's within you. Release what isn't. And remember this. They never forget the one who quietly walked away. The one who stopped chasing. The one who mastered himself. Because when you become whole, you stop being a chapter in someone else's story. You become the author of your own. There's power in silence. Strength in absence. Freedom in indifference. Be the man she remembers, not because you begged to stay, but because you had the strength to leave. And when she finally realizes your worth, you'll be too far ahead to look back. This is Stoic wisdom. And it's yours to claim. Reclaim your power. Choose peace. Walk away. As the dawn rises over ancient lands, a timeless truth becomes visible to those willing to see it. The one who walks away with dignity leaves behind not just a memory, but a mark. A mark no one else can replace. And no one else can erase. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." But what if no revenge is needed at all? What if your peace is the greatest victory? You see, people rarely value what stays. They admire the ones who vanish. It's a flaw in human nature. Familiarity breeds contempt. And the unshakable presence of someone who loves them without limits often becomes invisible. Until it's gone. When you were available, she treated your kindness like background noise. It was there, but it blended into the everyday hum of life. But the moment you stepped away, not out of spite, not as a game, but as a final act of self-respect, that silence roared louder than any word you could have spoken. And in that silence, something interesting happens. The mind, once distracted, begins to remember. Memories resurface. Words once ignored echo in empty rooms. Moments she barely acknowledged now replay in high-definition clarity. It's the irony of absence. It sharpens the outlines of things once taken for granted. And now, the man who forgot her, the one who chose peace over chaos, becomes unforgettable.